She's back. Can't keep her out of here. Anyway, so what we're going to do now is making a setting with telescopic tubing. And depending on the shapes you can get, you know, you can make it with square. So you want a nice tight fit. If I can get it back in again. Like that. Or you can do it with round. Same thing. And this inner tube is what the stone is going to be sitting on. So your outer tube is going to be bigger than the diameter of your stone. You need it to drop through. And this one needs to be almost smaller than the little, well actually probably about the same size or a hair smaller than the stone. So you're going to measure your stone just like we did before. Go ahead and cut your tubing. What I would do, and this is what I have done, is I cut just the one tube and place it on top of this one, the smaller one, and drop it down a hair because you can pull it because it's long, and place your stone in and find where it sits best for your stone. And you want the stone to its table almost even with the top of the tubing here. So just, you'll slide it in. I wish I could find the tubing. I think the cat's sitting on it. I wanted to show you. Let's pretend. Does this fit? Oh, this actually fit. No, it doesn't. This is too big. So what I would do is push this tubing in and then drop my stone in and see where it fits, and then wherever it fits, go ahead and go in and mark there and then cut this tubing to that size. You can always adjust the height of the outer, but it's a real pain in the butt to try to shorten this inner tube. So anyway, that's my suggestion. Okay, so now once we've cut these things to size, you really are laying on all my samples here. You're just going to put your tubing together, and I drew a little picture of how the solder goes. You're going to solder the two tubes together, and here's my fabulous drawing. And there's your solder. I like to ball it up for these situations. So the solder would sit on the top of the inner rail, in the inner tubing in here. And then I also flip it over and put solder on the back. And the concept is to draw the solder through the tubing on all sides of it so that it's really in there and it's fully soldered. So, I'm like teacher at school. A, B, C. So that gets soldered, and basically the seat cutting is the same concept. You can put it in your drill or your flex shaft and do what we just did with cutting the seat at this point. Or if you're using a cabochon or a small bullet, you don't have to cut any seat. It'll just sit on top of the tubing at that point. I will say though, when you put it into the drill, don't squeeze too hard, or put a rod of some, I mean, you can even use something like this to keep it from getting crushed when this probably wouldn't work because it's too long, but a piece of thick, like maybe 6-gauge wire or something, whatever fits inside your tubing, put that into the tube and then put it into the drill or the flex shaft so it doesn't crush the tubing, because after you soldered these are now soft and annealed, which can be a bit of a problem. So that's basically simple construction on how to do a bearing setting for telescopic tubing. And like I said, you can do it for faceted and for a cabochon type stone. And we're going to do one more, and I'm going to get set up for that. Maybe put it on top of Lulu. I don't know. She's kind of in the way. Oh, wait, before I run, one thing I want to say is, especially on the inner tubing, you might have to, I'd slap it in the drill and just sand or, file away a little bit on the outside, because every time you saw these, you get little burrs on them. I would also clean up my tubing with like a round file and go in and do this to remove the burrs on the interior edges of it, okay? I think that's all I can say about this at this point. I think. No, I don't. So now we're moving on to the, I don't know, I guess it's Colette is one way of calling it, but it's basically a tube that's pushed out into a cone. I have found that making my own tubing almost always the seam splits, so I like this extruded tubing that we've been using for the other ones, and the thick walled, definitely a heavy walled or medium walled is better. The thin tubing just splits. There's so much force on this. So you want to start with, you can use, by the way, you don't need to have a bezel punch like this. These come in different sizes and, oh lordy, shapes. I have 3, but I have an oval too. They get, this is the cheapest, the round, and then they get more expensive. But you can make different sized and shaped settings, depending on these, and they're pretty quick. But you can also use like bezel mandrels. Are you quitting? Excuse me. She's allowed to quit whenever she wants. She knows the boss. So you can do form them on here and move them, hammer, anneal, hammer, anneal, hammer, anneal, move them up the bar until you get the shape that you want. I don't know what the exact formula is, or how many times to hit it, or where to hit it to fit a certain size stone. It's more like you hit it and check, and you hit it and you check. But the annealing is just critical. It's like a cloud of cat fur flying around me. Every couple of hits, maybe 2 hits, go and anneal it, because this is a very stressful, not for me, but for the metal procedure. So what you want to do if you're going to be using the bezel punch is try to find a hole that is the closest in size to it without too much of it hanging out the top. And I think I like this better. And you need to center it in there. And then you take your dangerous looking little punch here, but this is also great to form things on. You can put tubing on here and form that. And make sure that you're centered and that this is at your 90-degree angle here. And you take your mallet, and I can see that I'm not level on that. So what this is doing is compressing the bottom as well as expanding the top. So I would probably go and anneal that. It's just starting to curve open in the top and compress at the bottom, but I don't like pushing it because I have split so many of these dang things. So you just keep working on that, and then I would take my stone and check the fit on it and see how close I am to it. This is way far away. We want that same kind of fit where we have a band, a perimeter of metal around it, so that there's ample stuff to material to push over. You can also try doing this with the telescopic tubing. Solder the tubing in and then expand it and change the shape of it there. But of course it's not going to fit the same size stone that you originally designed it for. So you have to play around with these. This is not exact science that I know about. If someone does know, they can let me know, I'm sure. So I think we're done. One thing more I wanted to say is with your miter cutting vise, if I was starting a studio, this would be a requirement. If you came up to me, Nancy, what do I need to buy? Buy this. This is the coolest tool. So after you saw your tubing, it's hardly ever perfectly square. So I always put it in here and square both the ends on it, especially for settings. You don't want your settings uneven. You got a ring here and you got a setting. One side's that high and the other side's this high. Unless it's intentional, it looks really stupid. Actually, that'd be a cool design. You could do that. But use the miter cutting vise to hold while you're drilling. Use it to flatten things. Use it to square metal. It's really cool. Too bad I don't own stock in that company. I think I probably own stock in Cat Fur Central and Friskies or something. I wish I did, actually. All right, well, enough blabbling. Thanks for coming, and thanks for visiting with me, Lulu and Lisa, and we will have some other exciting video for you next time, whenever that is. I gotta go let Lou out now. Ciao! Look, just look over there. Don't rub on this. Look over there. Look at the camera. Lisa, look at Lisa. She said no.